Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the primaries are here. Everything you need to know on the local races this evening with reporter Lupe Zapata. The man accused of killing Elizabeth Medina in Edna is set for arraignment this week. We go over the case. Plus, that deadly fire in the Texas Panhandle leaves a path of destruction. How ranchers are coping with the loss.
Well, you'd think with all the cloud cover, we would have some cooler temperatures, but even though we're going to be soupy tomorrow, it's going to get even warmer. We're looking at mid-80s. I'll have your forecast coming up.
And the Jags celebrated a well-known legend this past weekend. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is off tonight. The man accused of murdering Edna cheerleader Elizabeth Medina will be arraigned in court Thursday morning. A Jackson County grand jury indicted 23-year-old Rafael Romero last month. Romero is accused of intentionally causing the death of Medina while in the course of committing or trying to commit burglary, robbery, or aggravated sexual assault. The indictment accuses Romero of causing Medina's head to strike a firm surface. It accuses him of striking her head with a hard object and, quote, repeatedly stabbing or cutting Elizabeth Medina with a sharp object or edged weapon, unquote. Romero had overstayed a work visa. He was arrested 5 days after the 16-year-old Medina was found dead in her Edna apartment. The court hearing for 4 former Industrial ISD students is set for Thursday morning. At that time, the court is expected to push the case to the next court date. Cullen Stumfull, Zachary Kukler, Christopher McCrory, and Braxton Warren face charges related to an incident of assault that took place on a bus last April. The 4 teenagers stand accused of assaulting a fellow student while returning from an away game. A 4th charge has been filed against a Port Lavaca teenager in a fatal shooting in January. 17-year-old Frank Sandoval now charged with theft of a firearm. He already faces criminal negligent homicide, manslaughter, and tampering with physical evidence with the intent to impair charges. Authorities tell us at a party, Sandoval was playing with a gun when it went off. A 16-year-old was shot and then transported to the hospital. The child later died. Sandoval is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $635,000 bond. El Campo police took a sexual assault of a child suspect into custody. 30-year-old John Aguilar was arrested Saturday night on U.S. Highway 59. Aguilar faces 7 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a child. He is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $350,000 bond. Port Lavaca firefighters were on the scene of a structure fire Monday morning. The fire was at 613 Brook Hollow Drive. The fire was mainly in the back patio, but flames went up into the attic. There is damage in both areas. No one was hurt. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The Texas primary election is tomorrow. The polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. 25 News Now reporter Lupe Zapata has a preview of some of the top races of local interest. Lupe?
Hey Don, well as you know, 5,816 people showed up in Victoria County to vote early. That's 10.4% of the 56,141 registered voters. Now here are some of the top races getting voters to the polls. Incumbent District 27 Congressman Michael Cloud faces 3 opponents, Chris Mape, Luis Espindola, and Scott Mandel. In the Democratic Party, you have Tanya Lloyd and Anthony Tristan. Texas House of Representatives District 30 has 4 Republican candidates, former VISD board member Brett Baldwin, former mayor of Victoria Jeff Bouknight, retired veteran Vanessa Hicks Calloway, and former Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Louderback. With no incumbent in the race, whomever wins this race wins outright. Another big race on the ballot is the race for Victoria County Sheriff. Incumbent Sheriff Justin Marr faces Melissa Rendon-Rosicek. We spoke with UHV political science professor Woodrow Wilson Wagner II. He says the current climate can be polarizing for voters.
My sense is that the negative campaigning, specifically in the District 30 House race in Texas, has really turned people off. And there are people that don't even want to go to their mailbox anymore. They don't want to see any more flyers. They don't want to turn on the local TV station because there's another ad. They're just ready for it to be over. And in terms of how that affects their vote, I think most people still vote for their interest, what a candidate is for, rather than what they're against.
Victoria County has open voting, so on Super Tuesday, you can go to one of the 26 polling locations across Victoria County. If a runoff election is necessary in any of the races, it would take place on Tuesday, May 28th. Don, back to you.
Lupe, thank you. And here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Who are you voting for in the District 30 race? Vanessa Hicks Callaway, Brett Baldwin, A.J. Louderback, Jeff Bucknight. Let's look at these numbers. Let's see who's in the lead. 43% right now for Vanessa Hicks Callaway. She is in the lead, and it looks like Jeff Bucknight has 33%. All right, second place. Tight race there. Of course, the real voting will start tomorrow morning at 7. And we thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. Goliad Mayor Brenda Moses will be challenged by a current council person and a former mayor in the mayor fourth election. The Goliad Advance Guard reports Councilwoman Robin Alanis filed to run for the mayor's office, as did Trudia Preston, who served as Goliad's mayor from 2016 to 2020. 4 candidates will also be on the ballot to fill 2 at-large council positions up for election. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, the temperature keeps rising and so do the clouds.
Yes, we're going to be, so cloudy. You'd think with cloud cover we're going to actually cool down, but no, it's the other way around. High pressure's on top of us, trapping the clouds with us, and that's also squeezing the atmosphere. We're looking for temperatures tomorrow afternoon in the mid-80s and out west maybe in the 90s. It's quite unbelievable. We'll talk all about that and take a look at the fog for tomorrow morning coming up in a few minutes. Back to you, Don.
Mac, thank you. A much-needed break from Mother Nature could give Texas firefighters battling deadly wildfires the advantage they need. It's thanks to a cold front sweeping across the Panhandle and surrounding states Monday. Now, we must warn you, some viewers may find some images disturbing.
This is a monster fire. It's going to take days to get it put out. Numbers are going to go up.
Numbers that are already devastating for Texas. Multiple wildfires are still burning, with well over 1 million acres turned to ash. Thousands of livestock have been lost, and hundreds of homes and other structures decimated.
Our ranchers and our homeowners are hurting deeply.
For many cattle that have survived so far, there's no grass to eat and no water.
We've got over 120 miles of electric lines burnt and on the ground. That means these people have no electricity. There's no water to pump for the livestock.
In Hemphill County, nearly 80% of the land has been scorched. That's in the state's Panhandle, where around 28% of the nation's beef herds are raised.
This is going to hurt our beef supply going forward in the nation.
Many cows that survived the initial flames now suffer with terrible burns and other injuries.
They're going to get pneumonia, they're going to get sick, and we've already had to put some down.
Fire crews in Texas are banking on cooler temperatures in the region Monday to give them an edge over the wildfires, with Oklahoma Forestry Services saying they'll turn over the perimeter of the largest blaze, the Smokehouse Creek fire, to local departments in their state for containment. But the fire's impact could be felt nationally long after they are extinguished.
It takes years to put a cow herd together before they're productive and producing like they should be.
It's going to take maybe decades to get over this.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The U.S. Supreme Court temporarily stops a new Texas law that lets police arrest migrants who enter the country illegally. An emergency request filed Monday by the Justice Department sets up another legal showdown over the federal government's authority over immigration. Under the Texas law, state officers can arrest people suspected of entering the country illegally. The law is set to take effect Saturday unless the High Court rules otherwise. In February, DPS troopers recovered 16 unaccompanied children in Eagle Pass. These children, ages 5 to 11, crossed the Rio Grande with groups of migrants. They all had notes with a name and address. Since the start of Operation Lone Star, DPS troopers have recovered over 900 children at the border. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. A Houston area couple gets locked inside an urgent care clinic. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, the clinic's response. Also ahead, former Twitter executives sue Elon Musk for unpaid severance. Their list of grievances this evening. Twitter executives sued Elon Musk for over $128 million Monday in combined unpaid severance. Reuters reports minutes after Musk took control of Twitter, the former executives say they were fired. They claim Musk falsely accused them of misconduct and forced them out of Twitter, which is now called X. A Houston area couple is still in shock after being locked in an urgent care clinic. Austin and Tirado Jennings say staff at the clinic locked up for the night and left them in a patient room as they waited for care. Now the couple is asking for an apology.
I made an appointment for 6. They said that was the earliest they could see me.
Sick with strep throat and the flu for more than a week, Austin Jennings went with his wife to Mont Bellevue Urgent Care Tuesday evening. The doctor prescribed a breathing treatment. The nurse brought it in and promised to be back when Austin was finished. They said they heard some goodbyes.
Like, all right, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking, okay, front desk probably just leaving, because obviously we're there.
Yeah, we're there.
The office grew quiet.
Like really, really quiet.
Really quiet. Really quiet. You could hear a pin drop in there.
The couple remained in their assigned patient room, but as time passed, they became concerned.
I was like, man, what if they forgot about us?
Yeah.
Like, we just kind of been sitting here for a while. And he's like, no, they didn't forget about us. And I was like, I don't know, man. And then he's like, okay, well, I have to go to the bathroom, so I'll just go check. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. That's a good idea. Opens the door, and it's just pitch black.
Pitch black, and the alarm just starts going crazy.
The alarm triggered the security company's monitoring center, and the woman on the other end of the speaker was just as baffled.
The alarm lady was like, hey, everything okay? And we're like, all right, no.
The couple called Mont Bellevue police, who confirmed their response.
So we finally escaped the urgent care.
2 hours later, they were back in their car.
How do you miss people being in a room?
2 days later, the couple are still perplexed, especially since they haven't heard from the business.
It's unacceptable. This should be made right. If I do so, I'm a business owner. If I do something wrong, it's my job to acknowledge it and make it right.
Attorney Donnelly Smith has stepped in to try to facilitate a refund for the $50 copay, the prescription Austin went for, and an apology.
So we got left inside the... What do we do?
The couple feel it's not a big ask.
Just something, an acknowledgement of like an apology.
The couple's attorney says he got a call from the clinic. They say they'll refund the copay and write a prescription for Austin. But the couple says they have not received an apology call from the clinic. 3 NASA astronauts and 1 Russian cosmonaut are on their way to the International Space Station. The SpaceX and NASA launch of Crew Dragon Endeavour capsule was at the Kennedy Space Center. This success follows in 2 earlier attempts that were scrubbed due to weather. And there it goes. They should reach the space station around 3 in the morning Tuesday.
And have a spectacular view of Earth. How about that? Well, good evening, folks. So we're looking at some soupy weather out there, cloudy, foggy. Right now, we're at 74 degrees. You'd think that we'd be cooler with the cloud cover and lack of sunshine, but high pressure is squeezing our atmosphere down. We got up to 82 today. Tomorrow, we're actually looking for about 84, 85. Yeah, a little warm for this time of year. We'll talk more. Oh, yeah, I went 82. It was supposed to be at 73. That's our seasonal average. That's 30 years of averaging. We're supposed to be in the 70s. We're not. We'll talk more about your weather coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin our weather, I want to tell you about something pretty, I think, wonderful that's happening. For those of you that are familiar with Texas AgriLife, we call it the Extension. That's what we called it for 100 years. They're doing a Panhandle Wildfire Relief Supply Point. So at Otto's Coastal Hay over there in Goliad, they have 2 18-wheelers that are ready to load up whatever stuff you can afford to send to the ranchers up in the Panhandle and Amarillo and those areas. And it's all being coordinated by AgriLife. And, you know, if you've got fence posts, if you've got alfalfa cubes, the nursery supplement for the little calves, they lost really a lot more cattle than we even bargained for before the weekend. And a lot of the cattle were injured because they were in the flames and ingested the flames, and so now they're going to be in poor health. So we're going to lose a lot up there. So whatever you can do, if you've got extra supplies, that's the point where they're going to collect them and take them up there. So I think it's a wonderful program, great idea that they're doing. All right, now for us, you know why? Because we all eat, so we are all involved in agriculture. That's what the bumper sticker used to say. I don't see any additional advisories up for the Amarillo area, but there were additional fires over the weekend. Right now, let's talk about us. We've got all this high-level cloud cover coming over us, and you think, okay, that should make it a little cooler. This should give us some rain. Nope, pressure is so high and so stable that whatever moisture you see right there in the middle latitudes is not going to kick up. Now further upstream, you can see how this did kick off into shower activity up here, but that's over in Louisiana. For us, we're going to be on the soupy side, overcast tonight, and get a load of this. The fog will start thickening up probably after midnight, and by sunrise we'll be down to half-mile visibility, very similar to what we did this morning. And then about 9 o'clock it will burn off, and we will get a little bit, we'll get what I call a sandwich. A little bit of sunshine in the middle of the day, but generally it'll be on the overcast side. And here you see our future tracker. You see any rain coming up? Well, maybe a thunder shower north of Austin up there toward Waco. That's tomorrow afternoon, but even that pulls away, and we continue with just the afternoon sun, and then overnight we'll pick up the overcast skies again. Get a load of your temperatures over the next couple of days. Tomorrow, even with the amount of cloud cover, we're still going to be at 85, then 83 by Wednesday, still in the 80s for Thursday, but a little frontal system does come through on Friday to actually knock the temperature down to about 68 degrees. This is tomorrow, 85 for us, pretty much mid-80s along the coast, but inland areas already looking at 90s and mid to upper 90s. And yes, it's the beginning of March, in case you were wondering. We are looking, of course, at the moisture in the air here, but that's not really going to help us out. In fact, that pulls away, and we're going to wait until that front gets here to see if it at least knock the temperature down just a little bit. For tomorrow, we start with the overcast and the fog, then sunny in the afternoon, 86 along the coast. And for those of you in Cuero, we're getting up to about 87. So yeah, that sun will certainly be getting to you. We're looking at warm, humid weather all the way through Friday. Then Friday night, we get a little bit of clearing, a little bit of cooling, and actually some what could be very nice weather for the coming weekend. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
And Mag, thank you. And Zach Brown's here with your sports and a great tribute by UHV Sports over the weekend.
That's right. They celebrated one of the men that made this program possible. I think a lot of you know who that is. I'll have that in sports. UHV Jaguars, winners of 4 in a row, and they had the opportunity to not only celebrate a Houston Astros legend, but one of their own. Of course, we're talking about the first head coach in program history, the great Terry Poole. In the early portion of this season, the Jags have been busy celebrating, first with their championship rings and now one of the most important figures in program history, that being the original head coach, Terry Poole, who athletic director Ashley Wallachow says took this job before they had a bat, a ball, and a stadium back in 2006.
And part of that charge that Terry was given was also to prove that this community could support athletics and we could raise the money, not just for baseball and softball, but to show that athletics could be viable in Victoria. And that was a tall task. And I don't think anybody else could have done it but Terry Poole.
With him, when this program first began in 07, current pitching coach Doug Heinold, who has a great relationship with Terry Poole. Heinold always well-mannered, very kind, but he's been ejected from a game one time. While talking about his time at Riverside, Poole spoke highly of Doug, but also couldn't help but tell about that one time he was kicked out of a game.
We were playing a game right here, and the umpire was really bad. He was calling balls and strikes all over the place, and our players were getting on him from the bench. They said if they did it one more time, they'd throw somebody out. And sure enough, somebody got on there. Umpire turned around and went, "You're gone." Well, I'm at third base. I walk over to the umpire and I said, "Who did you throw out?" He says, "I don't know, Terry," but he says, "You just pick one." Well, about that time, Doug was walking up from the bullpen, and I said, "Hey, Doug." He said, "Yeah." He says, "You're out of here." I walked up to the umpire, number 13, "You're out of here."
That humor, a peek into the great relationship Terry Poole had with his staff over his 16-year tenure as the head guy. And to cap off his day, he got to throw out the first pitch to current head coach Jonathan Stavanoa, who he had a hand in bringing to the Jaguar program.
Jonathan is a good coach. I saw him at Texarkana over there, and I knew he did a lot of the things that ran that program. And so I had my eye on him for if I ever did leave UHV, he'd be one of the guys I would certainly consider for Ash to talk to. And I was just absolutely thrilled when he was named the head coach here. UHV baseball program is in great hands.
From being the first coach to helping them get their next great one, Terry Poole has his name all over UHV athletics, and he will now have a banner with his name and jersey number hanging out in center field. All right, great story over there at UHV. That's it for your sports, Don. Back to you.
Thank you, Zach. By the way, Terry Poole is in the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame and the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. We're back in a moment. The National Weather Service reports a new record high temperature for March 4th in Buffalo was set before this morning. The awards for the Oscars today. To vote, come to crossroadstoday.com/predict to enter the giveaway. The top 3 winners will receive a $50 gift card from our friends at Dick's Food Store. The Oscars pre-show is right here on KAVU TV Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and the Oscars start at 6 p.m. Sunday night. Good luck. Finally tonight before noon, Buffalo set a new record for high temperature for March. The temperature at the Buffalo airport was 64 degrees, breaking the record set in 1974. Overall highs will shatter that, possibly surpassing 70 degrees. For comparison, 1 year ago today, the high was 39 degrees. Tuesday will still be warm with near record highs in the mid-60s. See, every time I see video of Buffalo, it's at Bills games, and they're under like 10 feet of snow.
Exactly.
To see people playing golf early March in Buffalo, wow.
And the grass was green. That's what's amazing me. Like,
ooh, my.
Wow, they've already sprung way into summertime.
I'm telling you.
We're looking for some rather warm weather for us too, folks. And, you know, all kidding aside, I think it's going to be a record-breaking summertime for pretty much all of North America, the United States, as the heat bubble rolls back up from South America. So that being said, we're looking for 85 for tomorrow and then in the 80s. But then that little front on Friday will actually give us a rather mild weekend coming up. Only 68 degrees on Saturday. Sounds pretty good. They're going to be few and far between 68-degree Saturdays for the next few months.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.